Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Joe Kelly. I'm the program coordinator at the Rochester Hills Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you all to our program tonight. It's Smart Towns program, Augmented Reality, What Is It All About, with Dr. Khalid Mirza, the founding director of Oakland University's Augmented Reality Center. Before we get started, I'd just like to say that we do have another program coming up on Tuesday, and that is Tackling the Tough Questions About Aging with Navigate Home. And that is coming up again Tuesday, January 25th. You can register for that, just like you registered for tonight, on calendar.rhpl.org. We do ask that audience members, silence or turn off their phones before we get started, just to avoid any unnecessary audio disruptions. The program tonight is also going to be recorded. It'll be available about 1 week from tonight on RHPL's YouTube page, and also shortly after will be embedded onto the RHPL website. And finally, just a brief word about Smart Towns. Smart Towns is a lifelong learning program for everyone in the community, led by educational organizations in Rochester, Rochester Hills, and Oakland Township, Michigan. Oakland University is one of our partners in Smart Towns. And Smart Towns offers lectures, presentations, and courses that introduce participants to all aspects of a topic and are presented by experts in their respective fields of study. We are going to hear from one such expert tonight, and I will be introducing you to our speaker, Dr. Khalid Mirza. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm fully vaccinated. I have an accent. People have a hard time understanding me with the mask. My students don't understand me. But I have to wear it at Oakland. So, I have been working in robotics industry for 30 years. And since last 10 years, I started into academics and started teaching at Oakland University. And we created a robotics program there. And just last year, we launched the Augmented Reality Center. Exciting things are happening these days. I'm sure you guys are familiar with recent news about metaverse and all that. And I don't know how much you are familiar with what's going on, but these things are happening, and whether we like it or not, they are going to happen. And this is where everything is moving. So one of the things I want to do today is, I'm hoping that you guys are somewhat familiar with what virtual reality is or augmented reality is. I will assume that you know very little, and then we'll just introduce you to it. If you are well versed in it, you can talk with me later after this talk. So I will assume I'm going to introduce you to what this is all about and where it's heading. And for me, my interest is, how is the industry going to change using this technology? So with that, so my first question to you is, what do you think is reality? I mean, we talk about it, what is reality? It's not what is real. Most of us think that way, but it's what we think is real. So there is an interface between the real world and what we create a reality. And this is why we can go into these futuristic technologies, because they use on this fact that reality is not real, it's how you perceive it. So what I'm trying to say is that reality is created in our mind. And it's possible that for different people, the sense of reality is different. We experience the world differently, we look at the world differently, and we create our own reality. And it's using the process of perception that each one of us create that vision of whatever we think it's real. Now, even Einstein said that reality is merely an illusion. He did add that although it's a very persistent one, it stays there. That's why we call it reality. And if you are familiar with quantum physics, the newer theories about how everything is, And most of them just say that everything is energy. So this object is not really there, it's just energy, and energy interacting with energy is something we feel like it's solid. So there are things which are in the future where we can exploit that and we can make you believe something which is not even there. Because for your mind, it will be real. You didn't expect this to be a meta kind of talk, right? But I have to start it that way because this puts in context where the technology and our reality meets. So you gotta kind of think in a different way also. So what do you think is consciousness? Anybody want to venture a guess? When we say we are conscious, what does that mean? Awareness, yes, that's very true. And if I say that human consciousness creates the reality, that's what it is. It's our consciousness which creates our reality for us. There is a very famous American physicist, Michio Kaku. He's also a futurist. And he defines consciousness as existing on 3 different levels: spatial, understanding towards other, and futuristic. So basically, he's saying that consciousness is a process of creating a model of yourself in this space where you are, and how it relates to others, and how it will perform in the future. That's what it is. You know, you're thinking, all those 3 things come in play when you think about consciousness. And we're specifically talking about human consciousness here. So, if we want to replace the real world with an artificial world, then we somehow have to deal with this also. So let's start focusing on one of those things, which is, what is spatial perception? How do we perceive things? How do we feel our world around us? Essentially, what we are trying to say is that understanding the environment and our relationship to it. If I am standing here, I know this desk is here, the piano is there. I'm aware of that. And if I close my eyes, I can literally walk to the piano and know that it's going to be there. I created a map of this room, and my consciousness created that for me. And for me, this is real because it's not changing to me. So those are very important things which our brain is doing all the time. You don't even think about it, but that's what's creating the reality for you. But if you want to replace it with a computer, with a machine, it has to do all those same things which our brain does. So the 2 things which we really have to look at when we talk about spatial perception is the visual system and the haptic system. Basically, we perceive the world, our awareness is based on what we see, what we hear, what we feel, touch, everything is giving us the awareness of where we are, and our brain is then creating the reality for us. And if you think about it, humans are an amazing piece of machinery. You know, when we try to make sensors for our robots or computers or whatever, we're trying to imitate nature, right? We're trying to see how humans are, how we function. Can we make things which function the same way? It's very hard because it's an amazing set of sensors what we have. For example, if you just take your visual system, which is a big part of our awareness, our eyes are so specialized that they can perceive colors and very low light conditions. It can sense all that. And you will be amazed how much our eyes are sensitive. For example, if I ask you, how many colors do you see? Well, somebody answered all of them. Average human eye sees about 1 million different shades of color. It can distinguish. That's how sensitive they are. Because we have three types of sensors in our eye which detect red, green, and blue light. And all the different shades, mixing them, it can differentiate all the shades. I'll tell you a funny story. I was giving a lecture in my class. I teach vision course at Oakland, machine vision course. And I came to that point when I was explaining how our eyes work, and we have three types of sensors. Because of those three sensors, we can differentiate 1 million different shades of color. And there are very rare humans who have supervision. They have four types of sensors. And they can differentiate 100 million different shades of color. But they don't know. Because all their life, they see the world in that marvelous beauty, and they think everybody sees like that. Because our reality is created of what we sense. And as I was explaining, one of the students raised the hand in the back and said, "That explains everything." So we were all curious, explains what? And he said that I used to work at Home Depot, paint department. And everybody would come to me and say, "Does this shade looks exactly like this?" And I would look at him, "What are you talking about? It's so different." So he said, "I must have it. Go check it out. That's the only way to know if you have the 4 sensors instead of 3. Anyway, how about, do you think our eyes can see a single photon? Photon is the smallest particle, if you may, of light, quantum particle of light. Can our eye see it? Human eye. Maybe not when we are old, okay. But the answer is yes, we can. They actually have, well, you don't really see it, but our eyes can generate a signal when even a single photon hits. That's how sensitive we are. And we are trying to make cameras and other things to duplicate how our eyes do. So you can see that the sensory system which we have on our body is amazing. And because of that, the reality we create is amazing too. But if you want to create artificial reality, then we have to somehow duplicate all that. Now, I did say that you have an amazing system. You can detect so many colors. You can see in very, very low light. And you have 2 of them. And 2 of them is looking at the view on 2 different views. And that's how we create 3-dimensional world. Because each eye is 2-dimensional. It's like a camera photograph. It's like a 2-dimensional image. But when you put 2 and 2 together, now it can see it in 3 dimensions. How is this happening? It's not happening in the eye. It's happening in the brain. All of that information is going to the brain. The brain is where the magic happens. This is where it puts together all that information, and it creates this 3-dimensional world around you. If I ask you that if you take all of your brain, how much of the brain is dedicated just for vision? What do you think is the answer? I'm sorry? 10%. Anybody going higher? 10% is like one, of all the things the brain has to do, 1/10 of the brain is processing your vision. But the actual answer is 1/3 of your brain. 30% of your brain is what we call the visual cortex, or which processes. But it's not just processing the image you're seeing. It's making sense from it. That's the hard part. So essentially, we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. This is where we create our reality, our consciousness, our awareness, what do you want to call it. I'm going to show you a short video. You're going to be amazed.
I'm Daniel Kish. I'm the president of World Access for the Blind. I lost my first eye at the age of 7 months and my second eye at the age of 13 months. Echolocation is actually very simple. The physics of echolocation is very simple and easy to understand. It's similar to vision in a lot of ways. You have energy, in this case acoustic energy instead of light energy, and the energy goes out from the individual. In our case, it's in the form of a tongue click. And then that energy bounces off of everything in the environment, all surfaces everywhere, and comes back to the listener. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to familiarize myself with the area by clicking and listening to the returning echoes, and also keeping track of where I go and where I come from. Now there's a structure here, a small one, or well, it's a pole. I see. So now it really does open up. Here's another pole. And this is probably a court. Yeah. So this would be a basketball court. And there would be the hoop. For us, it's all about.
It's just like a bat. He has been blind for all of his life. What he has done, he has trained his visual cortex to receive energy not from eyes, but from his ears. And he can still create that awareness and world around him. So now you believe me, you can see with your brain. That's what it's about. I'm sorry?
How does he know what a chord is or how a chord looks like?
I think he wasn't born blind, but he lost it pretty early, so. Well, let me ask you. I'll ask you a question. This lady, what color sweater is she wearing? Yeah. We all agree that it's a red sweater? What if I tell you that I'm seeing this as blue sweater because I've been trained all my life to call that color red. I call it red. But I'm seeing what you are seeing as blue. It's very possible. Because there is no such thing as color. It's a sensation which the brain perceives it as a color. So it's when you start thinking about it, then you say, so why do we call something what? Is how we are trained to do. Yeah. Now it feels like I'm in a lecture here. Yeah.
That's my question. What is your policy for asking questions? At the
Ask
end
it.
Or any time?
Anytime.
Well, you may not get then to finish your lecture. How much time do you have?
How much time do I have? I'm sorry? 8:30. We have plenty of time.
Okay, I agree with you that it's a definition of how you program your mind. That's really what it is.
Right.
It's not just the vision. It's a combination. Vision is a combination of the database.
Absolutely.
That you have the vicinity of language.
Absolutely. When I see a color, There's no color. It's just a signal which my brain receives. And I've trained myself, oh, this is red color signal. Then the actual color I'm seeing is just an image created by my brain. Now, what's created in my brain may be different than your brain. We will never know that, right? Oh boy, okay. It is the smallest packet of light. That's the easiest way to explain it. Let's say you can break your matter down to smaller and smaller and smaller until you come to an atom, right? Well, we can go deeper, but let's not talk about that. So an atom, you can say, is the smallest piece of a matter. So if you start breaking down light, the smallest you can break it up is a photon. Okay, so one more thing. Our brain is a very, very slow processor. It's not fast. Your iPhone is way faster than your brain. So how does it able to do what it does? It's because it's massively parallel. It is, it's doing not one thing at a time, but millions of things at the same time. So, in order to do a lot of things, it has developed to take some shortcuts, especially when it's doing visual processing. Like when I'm looking at, I know that table is behind you, and I'm just seeing a 2D image. If you close one eye, you cannot tell depth at all. You cannot tell if you put your two hands a little bit behind, if you just close one eye, it's very hard to tell. You have to go on some shortcuts in your brain to tell how is the shadow, is it slightly smaller or bigger, and all this information translates into three-dimensional awareness. So because of those shortcuts, sometimes it fools your brain because it's taking those shortcuts all the time. It's survival for us. When you see an optical illusion, that's exactly what it is. It's trying to trigger those shortcuts in a way when it's not supposed to. I'm going to show you another video. So this is a video taken by a guy. This is an actual cardboard something. There is nothing moving in this video, okay? When you see it, nothing moving. There is no effects, visual effects in it. All he's doing is moving the camera. That's all. And watch what happens. And see if you see what I see when I see this video. takes a shortcut when it sees shadows that is lighted from top. It takes that shortcut. It assumes when it sees light on top, that's the top part. It's trying to create a three-dimensional image of what it's seeing. This is lighted from underneath, and it's not outside, it's inside. But when our brain sees it, it said, no, this is outside, this is top, and then it follows you. Because nothing like that is happening in reality. So it's the reality we are creating because our brain is so used to it. And those are optical illusions. If you see an optical illusion, it's because one of the shortcuts in your brain is being triggered. Sure. That's a great question. That's a great question, and I have no idea because I want to know the answer too. I want to have one close and one farther one. But I think it's how, when we are trying to look, one of the eye is giving you the information. I don't know what happens to depth perception at that point. And I really honestly don't know. Yes. Yes.
But I've got to believe also that our brain fills in.
Mm-hmm. But you made a really good connection that, this is a common thing they do. If you are far-sighted and nearsighted, you get one contact for nearsighted, one for far, so you can handle both. But what happens to depth perception then? That's a great question. I'll have to look into it. So, hopefully I've given you some context here about reality. The next question is, how do we create artificial reality now? So what do you think we'll have to do in order to create an artificial reality? The human would think that it's real. Very first thing you want to do is create a three-dimensional world which is as accurate as possible so that when we see it, it looks real. Do you think we have done that so far? If you have kids who play games, and have you ever looked at these games recently? I mean, they are super real. Like, everything looks so real, right? I want to show you something. This is a truck simulation game. You can drive in real time a truck in Europe. Why? Don't ask me that. But I guess you see the entire scenery. It, I think, gets information from Google or something. I have no idea how it's done, but it's super realistic. Let me show you a sample. And you see at the corner the guy who's driving. He has a wheel, a steering wheel, and brake, vibration, and all the switches, like a truck. And he has this monitor in front, so he can look around using a joystick. Everything is so real. And when it starts moving, okay, he's plotting his route. I'm sorry? Similar. Yeah. It's a truck simulator instead of flight simulator. But look at the quality. This is done in real time. immersed in it. You slowly start using reality around you, but still, you're watching So, not only that, the fun part is that you can simulate weather conditions. Very realistic. Let's make it work and visually So what I'm trying to say is that yes, we have now technology which can create in real time super realistic images to fool our eye, and with sound to accompany it that we can feel. But you're still watching a monitor. How believable is that you're in a real truck? Oh, you have a steering wheel and all that. How do you make it real? How do you really make it that you can't tell? So there's one way. So you take this truck simulator and you add what's called an immersive headset. What is that immersive headset? It just blocks the real world for you. So you're completely isolated from the real world. All you're seeing is what is being shown to your eyes. Now if you show that simulator, now all you see is you're sitting in a truck. You're hearing the truck. But that's still not believable. In order to really suspend your complete sense of reality, that headset tracks your head. As you look around, the world outside of that is super still, and your head is moving in it. You're looking around. So now you believe it, that this reality is real for me. Because if you turn your head and the whole room moved with it, that's not how real world works, right? So when you look up, look down, it's stationary around you, but you're looking in that world. You can move forward, backward, it changes like you're in a real world. When you start doing that, now you are going to trick your brain that what you're seeing is real. And that's what we call virtual reality. So most of the things, when you see those headsets, Oculus headset and others, the first thing you have to do is cut you off with the real world first, and then create that reality for you. The closer it is to very, very fine detail, the more you suspend your belief. But you don't really have to do it for a lot of things. It's good enough that you are immersed in it completely. I'll show you something which my kids play. I love to play too. The Beat Saber. I'll pause here. I mean, you can watch it for 15 minutes and not get bored. How fun it is to cut things at the beat of music. I can guarantee you, 10 minutes into this game, you will be in another world, completely suspended. And it's really fun. And they exploit that. You know, these games, well, this one is really good. It gives you exercise also, by the way. So I'm okay with it. So that's virtual reality. And the one essential part of virtual reality is that headset which you have to wear. But that headset is chock full of technology. And it has 2 displays to create the 3-dimensional world. It's not 2-dimensional. Just like each eye is seeing a little bit different, they show it like that, and your brain creates a 3D world. So you are in a 3-dimensional world. You have eye tracking, stereo sound, but then all this is to just track how is your head moving, how fast are you moving, so your world is still around you, and you are moving through it. And that's what suspends your belief that you're in an artificial world. You feel like you're in some world. So far what we have done is defined reality and virtual reality. 2 ends of the spectrum. You have the real world. I hope it's real. We don't know for sure. Not after this talk. And you have completely artificial world, which is virtual reality. A totally new world created for you. So what is augmented reality, which is the whole talk about, and we are almost over with the time. It's the mixing of both worlds. When you mix the real world with the artificial world. So now you have objects in your real world which are not there. Like holograms, and you can touch it, you can move it, they feel real, but then not real. That's what augmented reality is. So it's a whole different level of things we are talking about. So augmented reality, when you overlay virtual or computer generated or digital content into the physical world. If you think about it, it's a very, very hard problem. If I have a virtual object here, when I move around it, it's sitting on the table. It's not moving with me, even though it's being created for me right here, whatever I'm wearing, but it looks like it's just sitting there. And when it does that, when I move around it, then I start to believe it, that this is real, even though it's not, right? How about if at the end of this talk, I will show you. And it's something you can take home with you and show it to whoever you want to show. Would that be exciting? Okay. So I'm making sure, exactly, you got it. You caught it very quickly. So, augmented reality is really going to be the game changer, not virtual reality, augmented. This is where we are going to be heading, especially from industrial point of view. Virtual reality cuts you off from the real world. And there is a problem with it in the industrial world. You don't want to be cut off from the real world when you're doing things. There are some examples where you can say that, hey, if I'm designing a car and I want to design it in the virtual world, I want to just be in it and interact with it. Okay. But a lot more cases are where you want to actually be aware of your real world also, but have this augmented stuff with you. In 2014, Pepsi did a commercial in England, and what they did was, one of their bus stops, you know how the bus stop is, you have the bench and you have 3 glass walls. They replaced one of the glass walls with a monitor. And there's a camera looking out. So when you're sitting there, you feel like it's a glass wall. But since it's a monitor, guess what? You can put augmented stuff in it, which is not really there, right? And this is what happened.
Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. to divine. Know the moment is mine, the moment or sign. To all the squares that ask around, we getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Me now, tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I think I got that one.
It doesn't take much to suspend your belief. Doesn't. A simple monitor can do it, if done right. If it's synchronized with the world, that you cannot, the real world looks real, and then you can augment it. This is what Disney did in 2015.
Drawing in a coloring book provides a creative way for children to express their feelings. However, traditional coloring books look static. Our augmented reality coloring book app enables the user to color a cartoon character and witness how the character comes to life on a tablet. The texture of the 3D model is automatically synthesized in real time based on the drawing.
So they pop out of the page. How fun is that, right? And then I'm sure if you have kids, you heard about Pokemon and what they did in 2016. They came out with that Pokemon Go augmented, like in real world, go find Pokemon monsters, right? That's also an example of augmented reality. So it knows where you are and where possible Pokemon is, and it's kind of giving you directions where to go look for it. What's that? Well, you're using your phone for it to look around, augment your reality. This is just a start. They were experimenting. Yes. So where are we now in augmented reality? Well, one of the big names is Microsoft. And Microsoft has a device called Hololens, and it's like kind of bulky glasses, and they are transparent. So you look through it like glasses, but they have laser projectors, two of them, which can create objects in front of you. And they are perfectly fixed with the world. So when you see, it looks like it's in front of you and very real. Here is, they did a demonstration of HoloLens in 2019. What you are going to see on the stage is empty. Only the speaker who's wearing the HoloLens is there. Everything else is holographic image which is created in that device for that person. So this is what the person is seeing.
Years exploring and refining interactions for HoloLens 2. And the playground is just a tiny sampling of the many prototypes that we built, tested, and learned from. Our approach is basically to try out as many things as we could and look for the things that stood out. So, for example, here I've got 3 sliders. Each of them is controlling this wind farm simulation, but each in a different way, using a different interaction technique. One of the things we tried is this touch slider here. So here I can just stick my finger in the slider and have it go to a particular value to control that wind speed there. It felt okay. We also tried this push slider. So this guy can kind of nudge from side to side, kind of like an abacus, which was interesting. Now, the interaction that really took home the cake, though, was this pinch slider. The way that works is you just pinch it and move it wherever you want. And what we found was that people really like that tactile sensation of their fingers touching as they grabbed and then released. And across the board, for all interactions, the audio and visual feedback as you grab, move, and then release were all really critical for making this experience feel connected. Oh, this is just so satisfying. I can't wait for you all to try this out. All right, now let's move on to a different kind of control, buttons. how do you press buttons on HoloLens 2? Well, you just reach out and press them. Now, one interesting thing that we found about buttons was that the size of the buttons actually impacted the way that people interacted with them. So, for example, for the smaller one, most people would use 1 or maybe 2 fingers, but for the larger one, pretty much everyone used their entire hand. And this is kind of interesting when you think about it, because these objects don't really weigh anything, they're just digital things, but despite that, people would treat them like real things, almost as if the bigger one had more weight. I just love the way these move and the sounds they play when I press them. It's great. Alright, how about something that uses all 10 fingers? Well, to test that out, we built a piano. So here I can just play a chord, or I can play the keys one at a time. Alright, so where's that surprise that the team had for me? Oh, that's right, I had to say those words. Show surprise. Ooh, look at that hummingbird over there, it's gorgeous. I wonder if it will fly to my hand. Yeah, oh wow. This is beautiful. I just love the way that it's following my hand around. I've got to tell the team, they've done a great job. And in fact, I don't even need to use my hands to do this because I can use my eyes and my voice. That's right, HoloLens 2 has eye tracking. So I can just look over to this browser here and look at the bottom of the screen to scroll it, and then send my message. Start dictation. The hummingbird looks great! Exclamation mark. Send.
So let me ask you, if you have something like this, where you have virtual objects which you can interact with, you can press buttons, you can move things. Do you think there are applications in the real world where you could start using those things? See what I mean? Very, very powerful way of showing information. So it's a completely different way, a very powerful way. Yes?
I saw something last week on TV about a man who had impaired vision, and he was couldn't really talk anymore, but he was using the computer and stuff to talk like by looking at the
eye tracking. I have a device in my lab, one of the latest ones with the best eye tracking there is. And let me tell you, it's tracking your eyes so quickly, the brain takes about a millisecond to process where your eye is looking. It has processed before. So when it's tracking your eye, it's uncanny that it's predicting where you're going to look, because it's there before you even look at it, because your brain hasn't processed it yet that your eye is looking there. A millisecond later, oh, I'm looking there. Oh, it's already there. That's where it is, the technology right now. So exciting things are coming. So this is the HoloLens. They're commercial, but it's very nice. You can start feeling what different applications you can do with this thing. So one of the car companies, they spend more than a year designing shape of a car, because they have to make clay models, they have to do physical models. And I was curious, okay, so why does it take so long? I mean, can't you just design it on a computer, the shape and everything? And why do you have to make clay models for it, life-size clay models for cars? And the person, so talking to a designer, and he said that sometimes when you, after making that clay model, if you look at it and you say something is off, it's a feeling. And it's like a millimeter change in the curve will cause that feeling. So he said there is no way to do it on a computer screen. So you have to make those things in real life and then go around it and look at it from every view, different lights, and then you know it's the right. Right, because the holograms at that time weren't up to par, but now they are. But so let me tell you, the same car company is now using virtual reality. It has come to a point that what you see, actually we have a Corvette which is sitting in our lab. When I asked my Dean of Engineering that I'm bringing a Corvette in my augmented reality lab, his first question was, how are you going to get in through the doors? It's virtual. When you wear the headset, it's in front of you in full size, and you can sit in it. So the virtual reality, I mean, the technology has come up to a point where you can start doing those things. Somewhat cost effective, not fully cost effective yet, but every big company is working on this. Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, augmented reality. They are all working on it. They know that this is going to touch everything in future. So this is the technology of the future. So how do we really do it? What's the magic of augmented reality? It looks easy, but it's deceptively hard. What you have to do is, by the way, this is a view through HoloLens. So you have a solar system in your living room, which you can explore. You have to visualize. It has cameras on this to see the world. Like your eyes are seeing, the computer has to see it too, to understand what's the world outside. And then it has to figure out, the same way our brain does, how things are, what surfaces are there, three-dimensional, how far away is something. So if I want to display an object here, it needs to know exactly in three-dimensional world where is this place. All of that has to be done. And then when you're interacting, it has to monitor your hand. How is your hand going in relative to that virtual object? And if it touches it, well, guess what now? We have gloves. So if you're wearing the glove and you touch it, you'll feel the touch. There is a company who was displaying their latest glove, and they said they had you were wearing this virtual reality headset, and through it you see a car body. They say, run your hand on it. So you touch it and you feel you're touching, and you run your hand on the car body. You know this door seam? When you go over it, you feel it. I say, oh my goodness. Then it just blows your mind. Like if you can start doing those things, then if you do it right, you can really suspend your reality. It will create this reality and you will not argue with it at all. So, and this is all because of how technology has progressed. Now we're getting into the technical part of the talk, right? You have gone to level 2. Now that you understand what augmented reality is. But really, we are talking about how we used to control things using a keyboard, mouse. Now I can just use your eye tracking in that headset to control things. Content used to be photos, audio, movies, 360-degree photos, but now you have full 3D environment, immersive environments, which you can create and go into. And of course, with 5G and all that high-speed connectivity, you can start doing it in wireless headsets anywhere. So there is a whole range of companies who are making these headsets. More and more are coming out. Some are a few hundreds of dollars, like an Oculus, which is very, very popular. And almost every gamer has it. Some are tens of thousands of dollars also, several $1,000s, and they are very, very realistic, and they are for industrial applications. So more and more are coming out. There are haptic sensors, gloves, which gives you the feeling of touch. When you start moving things around, it will give you that sensation also. There are companies who make full body suits. So you can feel everything, anything on your body. And they use this for training firefighters, because there is temperature also. So you hit a hot thing, you will feel hot there, exactly where in your virtual world a hot object touched you. So this is where it is. More and more things are coming out every day. But what's the outlook is that a lot of those devices are tethered with a cable because of so much bandwidth which is used to generate that high resolution imagery for you. But as we go towards 5G, they are becoming lighter and lighter, just like glasses now. So that's where we are heading. Once we have it, then things will be very, very different. Yeah? It is augmented reality, but it only shows data. Like a computer screen, it will show you information, like a web page. But it's not, so it looks at things, it knows what it is, it can put data on something, but it's not like images, like a three-dimensional objects. So, yeah, so that's an example of augmented reality. And so the glimpse into future is that you will have glasses like this, which are fully augmented. So, I mean, you're looking at it, and it has all the sensors on it, and then it can enhance. But that's scary, right? So I look at it, it searches your face, and it knows who you are, and I can say, hey, how are you, Mike? Your Mike? Yes, your question.
4 slides before this one, I think this is 4. You showed the development of the way that we use instruments to talk, like keyboard and everything.
Hololens.
Where would you put, Stephen Hawking? He was able, he couldn't talk, he was able to look.
And control the cursor, yeah.
Where does it into that stuff?
So that's an interesting question, is for people who are handicapped, can they use this? I think there is use for people who don't have full control of their motor skills. That if you can start doing things with your eye and voice alone, well, for him it wasn't even voice, right? Just he had to type in the text to communicate. So yes, eye tracking is getting very common. So they are looking at, maybe I shouldn't tell this, direct brain connections, where you think and it's doing it. They're experimenting with everything. And the whole idea is, how do you interface with a human being? So if you have seen the movie Matrix, that might not be far away. So your direct connection to the brain is the best, right? You don't have to use hands, eyes, or anything. You directly give the sensation, and you're getting it. Or you're getting control from your brain directly.
How did you know he was like?
My glasses told me.
Connected to
It's a 1 in a million chance I got the name right. It was today.
Are you serious?
I am serious. It's one of the most common names. I risked it. Yes. It's not done yet.
You mentioned several times that you did in digital 3D vision. My question is, do we need 3D lenses?
Why stop at 4? The thing is that, well, I'm saying that we only perceive in 3 dimensions. How many dimensions we live in, I have no idea, because we'll never be able to perceive that.
Let me ask this question this way.
This talk is going to change now.
Am I the same person that I was this second?
Of course not. You're 1 second older. What's that?
There are 4 dimensions.
Well, if you are taking time as the 4th dimension, usually that's what we do. But I'm saying there may be a physical 4th dimension. What string theory says there are 11 dimensions? But living in we can only perceive 3 dimensions. Beyond that, we don't have sensors. Right? If we don't have sensors, we can't perceive it. They may exist, but we don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe some people do. They have this extra 4th thing in their eye, right? Maybe it does see the 4th dimension. But that's a very interesting topic by itself. We can go on a tangent and go forever there also. Let's come back to reality. We are going to use augmented reality in industry, for example. Let's show you an example. You guys ready? This guy is just poking fingers in the air. But what he's saying is this. He's doing a safety check in the factory, and all the instructions and things are just coming in front of him on the real world. What to do? Where to go? What to check? So this is what I'm talking about. Display of information exactly where it's needed. And it's real-time information. It's a game changer if you can start doing that. Imagine trying, if I tell you to assemble an object, I could give you a set of instructions and you read through it and try to understand how to do it. I could have instructions with figures in it, makes it better. I could have a video. You watch the video and you do it. What if you wear glasses and saying, move this way, put this there you go, done. So that's what augmented reality can do. Yeah?
It seems like that would be the game changer for law enforcement, where you're trying to teach people to know how to react to situations.
I didn't bring all my videos, but one of them was exactly that. Training of law enforcement in a less real environment. Okay, so hopefully I was able to give you a flavor of what we are talking about when somebody says virtual reality, augmented reality, and that it's not just playing games, it's really a very, very useful thing. And why all the industry, big companies, technology companies are really focused on this, because it's just a very good way of showing information in a variety of different forms. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm working with Oakland counties, what is called the Parks Commission. to have an augmented reality app if you go hiking. Yeah. If there's something interesting, you put your phone up, it tells you what's there. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, now that you're able to start doing that, you can think of a million different ways you can use it. Yeah.
What would you say to the guy who's young person that wants to?
Perfect question for my this slide. How did you know I was going to talk about this now? This is 2 coincidences in one day after Mike. So what you are saying is, what does it take to become good in this? If this skill set is going to be used by everyone is looking at it, what do you have to do to be skilled in this area? This is why we created Augmented Reality Center at Oakland. So come join Oakland. That's my answer. Essentially, we started in the engineering school. You can imagine the amount of technology needed to do this, but that's not it. So our engineering department has all the skill sets needed for the technology part. But you know what? The piece missing is what, okay, I'm going to put down engineers. I'm an engineer myself, so I can do it. They don't understand how to present information. They are weak at that, most of them. And this is all about how you present the information. Even in the simplest, right way of presenting it is a game changer. It doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be right. So for that, what we did was, we collaborated with the College of Creative Studies. So we are putting engineering plus creative together in that center. We have faculty from both, students from both work together. So this is not just engineering. Exactly. I'm a big believer of that. It's a new collaboration, but it's already is very, very exciting for us. But this is where most jobs are. They're looking for creative people. Putting these technology and creative together is like, for me, it's magic. You know, what can come out of that. So the center itself, you can see the companies who are founding members of this center, and they just joined last year. We just started last year. We have names. GM is part of it. Epic Games, you guys know that game? Oh, what's the name of that game? One of the most popular games right now in the world. Of course, I don't play it, so I don't remember. Fortnite. It's a massively, you can play with anybody in the world. It's a like multiplayer, all that. Epic Games make it. They made a ton of money, and now they're putting it back in education. So they gave us a $500,000 grant to start this center. And the other companies joined in, and you can see these are some of the biggest technology companies. NVIDIA is what makes your graphic cards, right? So they are part of it also. They want to see how industry wants to use this technology, learn from it. So it's very exciting for us that we have full industry collaboration within academic. 2 of them, not just one, College of Creative Studies and Oakland together. So I think we are in the right spot where to lead towards these futuristic technologies. It's not just technology, it's like coming together brains and think differently. So we are starting with certificates. We thought we don't have to, at least for start, create a whole different field, but somebody who is an engineer gets skilled on the creative side with creative skills also and augmented reality. But why should I stop somebody who's an artist to get skilled on the technical side also, to understand how to do this stuff. So these certificates can be taken by any student. Doesn't have to be an engineer. And you will get the skill set of augmented reality. So this is the approach we are taking. We're thinking outside the box here. So some of the modules, like you will learn about the engine, which you build your applications. You have user interface, user experience, which is the creative side of designing things. You have the technical side of it, hardware, software, all that stuff. That's the approach. And hopefully at some point we have a full-blown degree and program. Yeah?
I recently read a hypothesis by someone that because older adults lose their reflex.
No, they don't.
Talk to a Tai Chi person and he says you have to lose your reflex. Maybe that's physical. But to keep the acumen in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
The theory was that gamers used to be looked down upon, but now gamers have shown us the development of creativity and spatial movement. And we're trying to adapt some of that to the older brain. And this hypothesis was that we might see more of that being introduced for maintaining healthy brains in the older life. Have you read or heard?
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who told you that? Your teenager kid?
No.
No, I'm sure. I am amazed at their reflexes, to be honest, you know.
You're amazed at the what?
Their reflexes, the kids who do play these games, and how super fast they can be. Maybe I'm not agreeing with the overindulgence in that area. So yeah, I think you're right. I haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean it's not out there. Yeah.
The hypothesis was extended in Sanjay Gupta's book.
Oh, really?
Keep maintaining a healthy brain. Sure.
So brain is a muscle, right?
Right.
So you have to use it, or it goes with the rest of your body. Yeah.
It seems like 5G bandwidth is amazing stuff in this area.
Yeah.
What about quantum computing? When is that?
That's a whole different talk. I don't know. Maybe there is. Quantum computers cannot replace computers. Let me just say that. They can do some things extremely efficiently than when you compare with computer. But if you want to do some traditional thing, they have no clue. So at least for now, they are not a replacement of computer. They are replacement of certain tasks which took forever for computers to do, and they can do it like this because they are just tuned for that. So the other thing which we are doing is creating a public space where you will learn about augmented reality. So a little demonstration, I have it here. Well, this is all I could bring. But there you will see that Corvette. You can actually experience it. You can have different types of technologies you can experience. And the idea is that we want to get students interested in it, faculties interested, industry, visitors, anybody. It's open to anyone. That's the idea. So you can come and learn about it. Because if we are informed and educated, you're going to do something with it. Use it, create it, anything. Not yet. We are in the process. There will be a grand opening sometime in the middle of the year. So then public can start coming in at that point. So we did, for our founding members, we set up some of the demonstrations. So it's a real space, and we're trying to, as quick as possible with this pandemic going on, whatever we can. All right, so I'm almost at the end. I want to show you one last video. This is one of my PhD students, and this is one of the very first times he's experiencing augmented reality in its full glory. So what he's wearing, what you're going to see is this set actually. Vario set. It's the system is $15,000, so it is the high end. And what it creates for you, such a realistic image in front of you that for you it's real. And well, I'll talk as I show you the video. So what you see on this computer monitor is what he's seeing. And I am taping with my phone camera, and there is nothing in front of him, but what he's seeing is what you will see in the monitor. And it's a mix of that lab and this extra object. So watch this and his reactions. Goes behind it. It's obstructed by that object, like it's really there. If he was wearing haptic gloves, he would feel touching that object. Okay. Yes. Well, I don't know what he's doing now, but the technology is there that everything is in hand, and it sees where the hand is, the object is, and everything. Everything is being done by the headset. Here it's interacting with objects. The robot brought an object to it, it picks it, it places it, moves it around. It's by his hand. There's nothing in it. No track of nothing. So what he's seeing is a real object in his hands. And put your hand and you have a hand. No keyboards needed. I think he requested a plane. And you can see the object with the lights which are in the room. It's being reflected, it's casting shadows on the floor. So it's very hard not to believe what you're looking at. Even though he is not touching it, it's very hard to suspend that belief that that object is not there. Just walk to it, look at it closely or far away, however you want to do it. I know our nursing school wanted, can we have these applications? So the version, what you're seeing on the monitor, is being projected in his eyes. Aha. You have to take those courses I showed you. Say it again? No. Mm. Right. So we would need companies like that. One of the companies which are associated with that center is Siemens. Siemens is one of the biggest companies who make what's called digital twins. Digital twin is something, if you're designing anything, you can make a digital version of it and it acts, behaves in the digital world as the real thing. Now imagine bringing that digital twin to augmented reality. That's what we are trying to do.
Well, that's now what the company is doing. And so what Meta, whatever it's called, not Facebook, isn't it?
Meta. Metaverse.
reality, not virtual augmented. When he did
I don't know where it's going, but yes, you're right.
showed, like, I could have just myself, like I said,
But it's an avatar of you
an avatar, and I could go into this space
in the
with
world.
other people.
Yes.
So that's virtual reality versus augmented reality.
If you wear a virtual headset and you go in that space and you see yourself as an avatar and you see everybody else there, yeah, that's virtual reality. But if that character comes out, as some of the applications we're looking at is conferencing. So you sit at your table and then you have other people in augmented in your room.
Yes.
So that's augmented. Your physical world is also part of it if it's augmented. So last slide. So we had our industry vision. It's an industry. We are creating this center for industry. Our focus is how we can move Southeast Michigan industry into the next level using this technology. Europe is a little bit ahead of us already in this area. So we want American companies to catch up and start using it. And our goal is to produce a workforce which can work in these companies also and are familiar with this technology. So with that, it's my end of the talk, and I am open to any last questions also. Thank you.